welcome back to our podcast. I'm Chris.
We're back in the room.
Back in the room. That's gotta have to be our intro slogan from now on.
I think so.
Yeah. Okay. Let's redo that. Hello everyone, we're back in the room. I'm Chris, joined by my brothers Adam and Eric.
Hello.
And we're here to give our take on our favourite games from the last decade, continuing our discussion from the last two episodes. So this episode, we're going to be looking at our favourite games from the year 2012.
Or more often called 2012.
Oh yeah.
But the world didn't end.
The world didn't end, yeah.
It instead brought us some tasty video game software.
You fucking nerd. No, the world did not end. It went on.
That was good year.
I think every year something comes up with some reason when the world's going to end.
Or maybe it did.
Maybe it did.
Are we in Sovngarde?
After Skyrim.
Yeah.
Class. Do you know what? Let's talk about Skyrim again.
We still played that in 2012, so yeah.
Oh, I think I played.
I am still playing it. Yeah, I'm playing two versions of it at the moment.
Well, I'm actually playing it right now. On my laptop. I'm not.
I brought my Switch.
I'm not really paying attention to the podcast. I'm actually just playing Skyrim.
Yeah. That's okay.
So
yeah, that's fair.
I'm only joking. I'm not.
I think this time, my aim in Skyrim this time is to be able to actually build a house. I was
fucking joking about let's talk about Skyrim.
No, we're on Skyrim now, right? Games are always an escapism for me, and I want to be able to do the thing I can't do in reality. So I'm hoping that in this game I can build a house, which supposedly would be easier than it is in reality. But at the moment, I still haven't managed to attempt it. So.
You never built a house in Skyrim?
No, did you?
Yeah.
I never built a house in Skyrim.
I'm fucking building houses is class.
How do you do it?
I've adopted a child, but I don't have anywhere to put her.
That's not really your fault. The social worker should never sign those papers. They should never let you adopt that child. That's terrible.
I don't think she had a say in it.
I've adopted this child. Okay. Do you know what? Someone made a video about it recently, but the making NPCs buy stuff that they don't need or want to buy, because it's an option in the game. You can sell stuff to anyone, but it could be somebody who just sells fruit goods. Please sir, I need to feed my family, will you buy some fruit? And then you sell to them pieces of armor for thousands, and they're like, oh, I'm broke now.
I go into an inn,
you just force your stuff on them.
Obviously at the inn you could buy food and then a place to stay, but I just sell them a bunch of old books I would have raided in a tomb nearby. It's you know where to put these books.
I suppose where Skyrim came out towards the end of 2011, so in 2012 we were all still playing it really for quite a long time.
I'm not joking, I'm still playing it.
Yeah, no, I know we still are. But on our first playthrough we were probably still playing it. There was there was lots to still do, but there were some other games that came out.
I suppose 2012 did have.
So, are there any games that jump out to you, Eric, 2012 as a favourite?
There was two.
You have two favourites? Or are you battling between them as to which one?
I'm battling between them because they're both similar and different at the same time.
Fuck.
Yeah.
Oh.
They're both games, so that makes them similar.
That's exactly
what's different about them
is everything. So is Mass Effect 3 and XCOM, Enemy Unknown.
Oh yeah, I can see why you're struggling between the two, because I know that you're you got really into XCOM.
It's class. It's
and you're also a huge Mass Effect fan.
I love Mass Effect and XCOM. It's great. It's amazing.
Are they neck and neck your favourite, or do you think there's one that was better than the other?
Fuck it. Neck to neck.
So what was it about Mass Effect 3?
Well, Mass Effect 3 was it was the finale of the whole thing. It was epically amazing. You know what I mean? You finally get to Earth, and it's oh, cool, I'm on Earth, this place I was never able to fucking go to the last two games. Oh, look, Reapers come along and fuck it up.
Yeah.
Savage. And then just the music to it's class.
F-bombs Tarib.
If you thought the last two episodes were explicit. The opening to Mass Effect 3 is incredible.
I agree with that.
Incredible.
And then you get on that ship. And the game is just like the last game.
But like the Leaving Earth theme music.
Yeah, I was listening to it the other day.
Amazing.
It's great.
I'm still replaying Mass Effect 3 because I'm on and off between other games as well. Yeah, it's incredible. It's definitely my favorite game from 2012. Because it's epic in scope.
It did, and I think we mentioned it last time. It did get some
hate.
Yeah,
for its ending.
Yeah, it did. Yeah.
Do you agree with the?
No, I don't.
Criticisms?
I actually don't.
No.
I remember at the time, not arguing, discussing. I would have thought, but I was in the wrong supposedly. So everyone else was really mad at the ending. So much so that like they had to bring out another ending.
Yeah, they updated the ending to have
another choice or something. Is that right?
No, I think the third choice was always there. Although I've never gotten the third choice because that's actually
there's a fourth. I think there's 4 choices now.
There's 4. There is 4 choices.
Yeah, but yes. I don't see. I'm like I said, I'm replaying it, and I never played that re-edited version. But I think that's in the one I'm playing now.
The re-edited.
I'll see what it is when I get there.
Version. Actually, I don't know what the fuck the re-edited version does. Oh no, actually, I have no idea. No, because also if you have the Leviathan DLC, that adds extra dialogue onto the end of the game.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Okay. But it's interesting just how many people were so upset by the ending that the developers felt they needed to do something to like
fix some fixes.
But like even in my replay, what I've noticed is it's kind of more of as big as the game is, and like because one of the things that bothered me the first time I played it was how small your team is in comparison to Mass Effect 2, because one of the things I love about Mass Effect 2 was the large cast of characters. So even though, and like you're going around and you're recruiting people to have their armies, essentially it's a similar setup to Mass Effect 2, but this time you're recruiting armies instead of recruiting individuals.
Really cool,
but every time you're doing it, I was like, oh cool, there's Jack, join my team. And like she's on your war side, but she's not actually on your team, and you're stuck with the same 6 people that you're like
that you had from the start of the game.
It's really boring. It's like, oh, who will I pick this time to come out with me? These 2 again. You know what? Just Garrus every time. Come on, Garrus. Stop, going through your calibrations.
Yeah. And then
out on a mission.
Yeah, it's really not even when like if in the first one, if you played the first one and Rex survived for you.
Oh yeah,
from the first one, and then he's in the third one. It's like, oh, savage! I can get the whole team from the first one back together, and he doesn't join you. And
he doesn't. Yeah,
it's fucking annoying.
So in that,
I'm really dropping this F-bomb.
That's you really are. Are you okay?
We're talking about this.
Are you sure you like? Is it just the passion for this game?
It's passion, man. Like, it's just it's me where I bleed.
You heat it up because XCOM, Mass Effect 3 are neck and neck, and you're just like,
I don't know what you're talking about. Customization.
Yeah, calm down, man.
Yeah. Okay.
But what I was saying was, like one of the things that I've come to appreciate is I think Mass Effect 3, as big as it is, it's kind of a very personal Shepard story, and that shows more when there's a child that dies at the start of the game.
So good
during the Leaving Earth team. So it's the game.
There's a theme here for like the games that we like.
There is, everyone's class because children die, and Mass Effect 3, children die.
In 2013.
Wait till we get to it. But yeah, so this kid, it actually opens up on the kid playing on Earth and playing with a spaceship, and I thought that was cool.
Yeah,
first of all,
really
because
cool,
like dreaming of like going up into the stars, right? But then he sees that child get onto a ship, and he sees that child die during the Leaving Earth team, and it sets this is what I'm fighting for. It's not soldiers getting killed. Like every living organism is going to die in this war if you don't succeed. But there's these dream sequences that I totally forgot about.
Oh, they're class. So good.
Different points in the game where a version of the Leaving Earth team music keeps playing, and Shepard is on his own in this like dark forest that's burning. And he's running around, and he keeps seeing that kid, and it's haunting him. And or her, depending on what your Shepard is. But it made me realize that it's really what you're doing is you're capping Shepard's journey, and that's really what this game is about. And so, the choice at the end, the reason why it didn't bother me, was because throughout the game, series, you had all these choices you have to make that will impact that game and the next game, and it'll impact other people. And when you get to the end, this is like Shepard's final moment, and you have one final choice to make to impact the galaxy, and it's going to affect everyone.
Yeah.
And that's why I was like, inherently, that is the Mass Effect. You make a choice and everyone lives with it, and it's
a little bit more. It's a bit more cinematic in terms of its storytelling compared to the other two, and that is an issue with RPGs in general. When an RPG tries to become a lot more cinematic in its presentation, you do lose out on choices. We saw that with Skyrim from Oblivion.
Yeah.
We saw that with Final Fantasy X from 9.
Yeah.
So when you just start to try and make a game, it's not necessarily making it mainstream, but it's just making it more polished in its execution.
Yeah.
You lose out.
You do in terms of your flexibility.
So it just depends on what are you really into, and what is the vast majority of the audience into with that particular game series? Is it the RPG aspects of it, or is it being more of a storytelling third-person shooter?
Well, one of the things that actually is kind of bothering me about I'm really enjoying my playthrough now as well. There's stuff that I'd forgotten about that I was like, Jesus, this is great. And I've gotten to the point where I have loads to do and I want to do it all. And so I'm like, right, I'll turn it off in a little while. I got to do a couple more missions. But one of the things I suppose, like in Mass Effect 2, one of the things that was most interesting about it was all the exploring and doing side missions and doing all this kind of stuff, right? In Mass Effect 3, it feels wrong to go off and do side missions.
Just because of the urgency?
There's an urgency. Earth is burning. Palaven is burning.
Because I remember
the galaxy is on fire. Reapers are everywhere. Even when you're flying around your galaxy map,
the Reapers
can find you. I love that. Like, there's a real deep sense, and you keep getting these messages from Admiral Hackett and Anderson, that we're doing everything we can, but Shepard, you need to pull in every resource you can, because everyone who has ever fought the Reapers ever in history has lost and been wiped out. So there's a real sense of doom and gloom throughout this entire game. Yeah, that makes it hard to do the side fun stuff, I suppose.
See, the first time I ever played it, I felt that, and I was like, right, I gotta rush through this. So by rushing through it, you can actually really fuck it up, and some people, again, I dropped it again. So there was moments happening where I was like, why am I here? Who are these people? Why is that person now dead? What the hell is going on? If you rush, which is really weird for me, so I was playing, and I was like, okay, what the hell is going on? Why is the Citadel being attacked by Cerberus? What the hell is going on?
It's a cool moment, though.
It is a very cool moment. But then when you play, if you do actually do more of that exploring, it kind of does make it more fulfilling. Now you have to take into account, it takes the Reapers 100 years to wipe out all advanced civilization.
Oh yeah.
So you have loads of time.
Yeah, but not to save Earth, because that's getting attacked right now.
Yeah, that's true. So but you think about the Batarians' homeworld. That's gone before the game even starts.
Yeah, that's true.
Which is really cool.
I love as well that you have a chance in Mass Effect 3 to tie up some of the story elements that have been set up in the other previous Mass Effects. So the curing of the genophage.
Yes.
Unreal.
So good.
I think I remember that.
Yeah.
You're on with all the Krogans and stuff. And it's
Is there a giant dune worm?
There's a giant dune worm.
The treasure maw.
That's a great.
There's a moment where you have to go in through these Krogan catacombs, and they show these old Krogan temples and Krogan statues and stuff.
Yeah.
There's a really ancient culture, and they have these murals on the wall of this ancient thresher maw that people would have tried to challenge in the past, and there's all these religious kind of elements to it, but they try and then lure it to attack a Reaper,
and it wins because it's awesome.
It's nature winning over kind of science. It's just fucking cool.
That's probably, out of all the planets you get to go to, that's probably the best one.
Tuchanka.
Yeah, because with the Turian homeworld, you don't even get to land on the homeworld, you land on the moon. And then with the Solarians, it's it's a jungle, it's kind of pyramid shaped, there's nothing really to it, there's nothing. And then also same with the Asari, when you go to the Asari homeworld.
Yeah.
Just looks nice, but it's just being destroyed, and that's kind of it.
I love is actually most of the maps you go to in this one are war zones.
Yeah.
So the maps are actually like really cool. Some of the maps in and when I say that, like Mass Effect 2 is still my favorite one in the series to play, because I think I just love the tone of it, and you can take your time more to explore.
Yeah.
But I fucking love Mass Effect 3. Like, it is really good game, really epic. And I think the maps in Mass Effect 3 are better than Mass Effect 2, because in Mass Effect 2 a lot of them feel like spaceships that have been kind of reloaded, or facilities that have been reloaded. A lot of like similar looking corridors, whereas this one there's like rubble, and I love even in the background you can always see Reapers and the sounds of them, and you can like there's huge explosions in the background
when you're on the moon of Palaven, like you're going through you're going through trenches, and then there's the Reapers walking in the distance, and you just hear their horn.
And the husks are everywhere. And I love that they there's new enemy types, which is because husks had been in it before, which was what happens when Reapers indoctrinate humans and they transform them into these like zombie things. But then they show you what happens when Reapers indoctrinate other species. And you get these new enemy types, like the Marauders are like what happens if they take Turians. Or in there's like Banshees, I think, or Asari, is it?
The Banshees are Asari, they're messed up. They're great.
What are you talking about? But it's just like lots of cool new enemy types, but they fit in with the story, you know, like it's as a result of the invasion. These are the new enemy types, and this is what's going to happen to all the worlds.
It's a really weird thing in it where, you know, in Mass Effect 2, if all of your team survive, it's kind of really boring ending.
Yes, but
in Mass Effect 3 it pays off.
It makes Mass Effect 3 better.
Yes,
that's true. So Mass Effect 2 as a standalone game works better if you lose teammates on the way, because it makes the suicide mission stand up to its name, right? Because if you go on this mission, everyone's saying like you really need everything or you're going to die and this is not going to go well, but then you come out like fine, and you're just like, but this is like every movie I've ever watched where they say you don't know what you're up against and the hero always wins. Whereas in Mass Effect 3, if they did survive, they all have like great payoffs to their arcs, and it's fantastic. Especially when Morden goes up to cure the genophage.
You can be.
Can he live? I've never played a version where he always sacrifices himself.
You know this bit, Adam.
That's as far as I got in the game, and then.
So there's actually.
Did you not finish it?
No, I didn't finish that one.
Oh, okay.
I played most of one.
Do you have no idea what people talk about when they're about the ending?
No, I do. I do.
I suppose people would have like explained in their discussion.
Well, that was like the turning point for that studio, whereas like everyone was just like, yeah, don't trust him. That's
so weird to me, like to say I don't trust them now because I disagreed with the way the game ended.
What have they released since?
Well, now this is where I would not trust them, which is Andromeda, which I was really Anthem. I haven't played Anthem, so I can't comment on it. But
pretty broken.
I was really excited for Mass Effect Andromeda because new Mass Effect game. But I think they took it in the wrong direction. I remember me and you, Eric, were talking about it, that they should, if they're going to have a new character that's not Shepard, you should get to even choose your race. They should take it a step further.
Yeah, but even not that's the least of its problems.
Oh, it
was in development hell basically for a long time, and outsourced as well. So it's just not up to the polish that it should have been at.
No, not at all.
And then it also suffers from what a lot of games are doing now, which is bigger map must mean better. And it's like, no, not at all. Like if you look at the maps of Mass Effect 1 and 2 and 3, the maps aren't that big, and yet the games are fantastic because it's the story that they're telling is great.
Yeah,
the characters that they give you
are really high, especially in Mass Effect 3.
Especially in Mass Effect 3. They got them fucking
They give you. I always love if an opening of a game, like I usually get hooked by the opening of a game, and if it's a bit slow, that's when I find it hard to actually finish a game. Like if it doesn't grasp me straight away, like because most of the games when we were younger, they jump right into it, or they jump right into the action. Nowadays, because there's a lot more attention to detail and there's like a lot more character acting happening, they can sometimes have like slower intros. Like just as an example, and I'm sure we will talk about it eventually, but like Red Dead Redemption 2, for example. like beautiful game.
Yeah.
But because the opening was so slow, and it's so slow to get going, I wasn't like jumping on the bandwagon. Like I was finding it really hard to actually get really into it. Whereas Mass Effect 3, like straight into it, the Reapers come, they invade Earth is burning, you're straight into a war, you gotta leave, you gotta, and I love all the politics. And again, like with the thing with the genophage, like I love that, right, we need the Krogan to win this. And the Krogan, who know the universe is burning, is like, okay, we'll help you, but first you must cure the genophage. And then if people said you can't cure the genophage because if you do, the Krogan will rebel again. And then, you know, and there's this whole political thing. It was like, if we fix it now, it fixes this problem, but it might create another problem in the future. I love the politics.
Another brilliant thing about the genophage moment is back to when Morden can Morden survive? No. Even if you choose a negative option, Morden will not survive because you actually end up shooting him.
What?
Yeah. And he's crawling towards the computer and then he dies just before he gets to it, so you don't even clear.
That's if you make that deal with the
Solarian.
She's a bitch.
She's a massive bitch.
She's a massive bitch. The Solarian counselor.
Yeah, or I think she's the matriarch leader or something of the Solarians.
Yeah. She tries to like sneakily make you like lie to the Krogan and say, we cured it.
And then if you do that,
because they won't notice for years.
And you have Rex will later on come back and try kill you.
Really?
Yeah, because you didn't cure the genophage.
Oh my god. Part of me wants to see. I didn't do that because like I'm like, no, screw you. I'm going to cure the genophage. Like this is nuts. Like you literally committed genocide on like babies.
Yeah.
But part of me wants to go back again after this and do all the negative stuff just to see how it plays out. I usually do Paragon because it kind of makes sense when you're going through. It's like we're at war and we're trying to save the Earth, so it really doesn't make sense to start making enemies like Jordan and go, you know what? Screw you. Which is like the way he speaks. I don't like your tone. One thing I would say of the two voice actors, Jennifer Hale.
Oh, without a doubt, way better.
Is a better voice actor.
I hear that a lot. That the female Shepherd is the kind of the more enjoyable character players.
Well, she's just a more natural, I think, in the way she speaks. Like the male Shepherd, I suppose they were trying to make it a little bit anonymous, or I don't know, like because you could make him look so many different ways, so it has to be a voice that could suit any of those different looks, I guess. You know,
sure.
So it's not any particular. You can't put an age on it, I guess, because you
Is
could
two
make
the
him
first
look
one where you could play as a female?
No, you can play as a female since the get go.
Yeah, from the beginning.
From one.
Yeah,
from one.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Always. Yeah.
But that's a good point that you made about it, because I think I agree with that. And all three Mass Effects, them being RPGs, the onboarding is like really, really good. There's not that whole trying to figure out, well, you know, what's that button do, and you do this to activate that, and all this kind of stuff. Like you can just jump straight into the game and get going.
Yes.
And that is like, you know, I think that's something that people don't really think about when they think of like a good game. But the onboarding is so important. Like I agree with Red Dead. Like it's just there's too much to do in that game.
Too early. Yeah, I think it needs to slowly introduce you to kind of, because it is a simulation. It's not really an RPG. That's a simulation. Yeah. Another one I was playing recently is called Jump Force. Have you seen that? No.
It looked really interesting because it was like it's supposed to be like Dragon Ball Z meets.
Oh, that Jump Force. Yeah,
so it's like it's a fighting game.
Well, why didn't you say Jump Force? I know.
I tried playing that, but oh my god, just like screen after screen after screen of just reading.
Right.
It's like press this button to do this. Press this button to do that, and it's like that is just, it's a horrible way to show anyone how to play a game, like teach them to play a game.
But isn't that like fighter games? So shouldn't that be following kind of more or less the same rules as any other fighter game?
Yeah, well, sure. Well, it's a little it's almost like it is a fighting game, but it's not a traditional arcade style fighting game.
Oh, okay.
I think DC Universe Online is another one where it's just like, or any of those MMORPGs, they have like really bad onboarding.
I can't get into MMOs really. Yeah. They're so strange to me.
I think that's something that nearly every game should follow, is that kind of cinematic approach to just introducing just the really, really basic mechanics.
Yeah.
And then slowly you can add on.
I'd set the stakes. Set the stakes of the game first, and then open it up to the exploration. But let the player feel invested.
Yeah.
I think, because every game that I've ever played that's been like a favorite of mine, pretty much does that.
And it's a combination of every single like piece of talent that's in that studio. It's down to the writing.
Yeah.
It's down to the development, QA. It's the score. Like everything comes down to just that. Like and generally like they tend to do the start of the game like last.
Yeah, that's true.
Because it's like you already know what you're working towards, so you just tend to like try and tunnel them towards like everything that they need to be able to do.
Yeah.
Not always, but I mean, in a lot of cases.
Although, weirdly enough, in 2012 there was another great game called Journey, which doesn't show you how to play and does set you where you're supposed to go, and then you yourself just have to kind of.
Well, there's not a whole lot to the controls in that game.
No, but still don't. But it's still you're kind of figuring out, which is really nice because there's not much to the game.
Yeah, I mean, well, it depends. Like I was specifically just kind of talking about RPGs.
Okay.
That because RPGs are generally really, really complicated. It's got a lot of systems involved. It's a lot of, again, there's almost simulation involved as well, because you've got one button that can do a lot of things in the game. And
depending on the menu or the scenario,
or like how your proximity to it and stuff. Like just the horse alone in Red Dead 2, like the amount of things you can activate and engage with just around the horse is ridiculous.
Loads of stuff.
It's unnecessary, the amount of stuff you can do. Whereas something like Journey, which is another amazing game of 2012. And I think it did win. Definitely won a couple of Game of the Year awards.
Won loads of awards. Got a lot of notice.
That's a different. That's more like exploration rather than RPG. So like there are other games where it is about trying to figure it out, almost like a puzzle. Something like Tetris or Mario, right? You don't need to. You don't tell anyone how to play that game. It's by playing it that you figure it out. Because the systems are so kind of not simple, but the amount of inputs are reduced. So it's really kind of up to the imagination of the player then to figure out like, well, what do they do in this situation?
It's kind of like the Goose Game.
It's like the Goose Game.
It's quite like the Goose Game.
Still have no idea what the Goose Game is.
You have to play. I've played it now, so you're gonna have to play it.
It's a good game.
What did you guys think of Journey?
Journey was amazing.
Phenomenal. I'm not gonna lie, I cried at the end.
I cried.
I haven't gotten to the ending.
Okay.
So I don't know what the ending is, but
Man, you'll cry.
It is a gorgeous game. It's a beautiful game. Every so often I come back to it because it's really easy to just put on and play. But it's got really surprising design elements that I wasn't expecting. Like, because
what do you mean in terms of?
Like when you leave that sand area and you end up in like this weird.
Underground kind of.
The underground place, and there's like these like flying mantis things going around, and there's like this element of don't get caught by these creepy machines and stuff. And I was like, oh geez, I wasn't expecting like any of this.
It's almost like
really interesting.
Like Journey, for people who haven't played it, like there's no dialogue in it. There's no. You can actually come across other players as well.
Oh yeah.
And you can interact with them in a very limited amount of ways. So it's almost like as if, imagine in your phone you have access to maybe 3 or 4 emojis.
Yeah.
And you're trying to communicate with a stranger using only those emojis. And that's kind of it, really. So in the game you can kind of make a noise or sing at them, kind of.
Yes, yeah.
Or make kind of like a call. And then you can move. So you can kind of go up to them, make a sound, and then move over to another location and make another sound to kind of indicate, hey, if you come over here. So it's like this communication, even though there's a language barrier.
Yeah.
Which is really, really clever. You can't like do any hurting or damage to another player on the game. So the only real advantage of coming across another player is to kind of aid each other, to help each other in it.
Which is great.
Yeah, because there's all these
it's so different to the usual multiplayer, everyone against each other kind of thing.
Yeah. Well, because that is like the only, I suppose, piece of interaction you can do in it. It's interesting that if you remove any type of method of harm, people will immediately resort to helping.
I'll tell you where that game had me, right? And I don't know. I don't know where it ranks for you guys. Yeah, right at the start. Like I said,
the minute you wake up,
the minute you get right up, you're sitting on the ground first, right? And then you push a button,
and it doesn't tell you. It doesn't say.
You just
press whatever to start.
It's like zooming around, and then eventually you go, "Should I do something?" Then you push a button, and it just happens, and you go, "Oh,
and
cool."
It zooms in on a mountain. You're like, "I suppose I gotta go there."
But the sand.
It looks good.
The minute the sand moved and how gorgeous the sand looks, I was like, "Oh, you have me." And like, I don't know where it ranks for you guys, but it was in my top 3 games that year, definitely. Like I mean, I personally I preferred Mass Effect 3. Like that was my favorite game that year, but only because I was already invested in Mass Effect and the stakes were high for me, and I was, that had an epic scope and scale that I'm into. But Journey was just so innovative.
Yeah, it's like one of them Pixar shorts.
Yeah, it really is.
Where those they don't use any kind of, they just rely on the animation. They don't use any voice at all.
Yeah.
But it's like if you just made a game out of one of them, that kind of concept, and it is really, really short. You can do it in like 2 hours, I think.
Yeah, I cleared it in like one night.
Yeah,
I love the design as well of the character, like the kind of Middle Eastern.
Yeah, but it's not like, specifically from anywhere.
No, but there's a vibe there, and it's not. It's a vibe that I would say is possibly underrepresented in gaming characters. Like protagonists tend to be Asian or American, So
sure.
I'm not saying the character was of a particular ethnicity or anything, but there was a cool look there that I thought was.
Yeah, well, there was a nomadic look, which is what I mean. The character is known as the Traveler, so I mean, it has that kind of nomad of the desert kind of vibe to it.
And great title for a game.
Journey.
Journey is
but just the overall
simple,
the story arc is phenomenal.
Yeah.
And it goes full circle.
Does it?
Yeah.
See, like I said, I haven't finished it, so I don't know.
So when you finish it, right,
yeah.
you'll see that it'll be back to when he's sitting on the sand.
Oh, right.
And
so there's like a cyclical nature to it?
You can just go again.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
And contextually, does that make sense? Is there like a story reason for that?
Yeah.
One thing also I like about it is they do have a story, but you yourself have to figure it out because there's no dialogue. Like they just show images.
Yeah, like I was loving those drawings you see and stuff.
Yeah, there's hieroglyphs, but it's more like you can put your own. It's like it's a piece of art. Like it is actually a piece of art, and that's the thing where it's like when people may not take video games seriously, they think it's for children, or they think it's like just mindless.
They should play Journey.
Just shooting and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like that game alone proves that video games are they are a piece of art that just like cinema and theater and music, and this would be the equivalent of like is it like shadow theater kind of
like shadow puppetry and stuff,
or even just music in general, like like you hear lyrics and you can kind of put your own experiences on those lyrics, like not explicitly saying what the song's about. That's what this game is. Like you look at those hieroglyphs and you can kind of try and piece it together, but the overall experience of the arc of the game, like you can interpret that in whatever way you want, really.
Well, on a side note, one of the only genres of music where you kind of can't do that, which is like put your own experiences on something, is in hip hop, because very often the artist will say their own name in the song.
They will tell you exactly how to feel.
Yeah, Stormzy here on the mic, and you're like, oh, okay, well, that's not about me then.
I'll have a check then.
Now
Not
in a song
Stormzy.
with Linkin Park, you're like, oh, nice one.
Yeah, well, I mean, like Journey is like one of the better games in that part. There's a lot of games that don't do that either.
Yeah.
So when I'm talking about that, I was just talking about like good music in general.
We're not saying all hip hop is bad. But actually, on the topic of music, the music in Journey is gorgeous.
Well, it won a BAFTA.
Yeah.
Oh, it's a BAFTA?
I think
Grammy? won an award for like.
We are not educated on what awards are.
Hey,
well, it's just there's so
last
many.
year when we were able to tell you all the facts about the games and stuff. Yeah, we don't know anything about 2012.
Well, it's just that there's that's the confusing thing with like game. Like you can say for films and music, there's like kind of one overarching award ceremony for them.
Yeah.
But with games, there really isn't. They're trying to do it with the Game Awards.
That's right.
But it's still not quite, like, people are still kind of saying, like, there's IGN's Game of the Year, there's fucking, like...
Yeah, like, I think
Verge's
it's crazy
Game of the
that games aren't on this... They're still not put on the same level as music and movies. Like, there's so many of them that come out every year, and the amount of talent that goes into them, and it's...
Just people just don't understand them.
Yeah, and it's multiple facets, like, there's... You still have your camera work, you still have your artist, you still have your music, you still have your acting, you still have your writing. Like, you know, it's everything that a movie does, except it gives you
more
an interactive.
But even games as like even without all of that, like just games as simple as Tetris, you know, or even Snake, which was like on the mobile phones and stuff. Like even
surely everybody's like first game.
That depends on when you were born.
Yeah.
I play,
but
I don't know if anyone remember Bounce on the phone. Bounce is great. You play a little ball. You have to bounce around.
I don't remember that.
That was class.
It was fucking unreal.
Yeah, it was amazing.
Here I am, like naming like legendary games. Like and you're just like, remember Bounce?
I hope it was to the theme tune of Bounce by System of a Down as well. You're just like,
no, it was not. No,
was it a phone game?
Yeah, it was a phone game. Yeah, they were balls. We need to bounce.
Anyway, nice. The point I was trying to make was
shut the fuck up. I want to hear about this bounce game.
Even without like a script, acting, cinematics, just general controlling something and just moving it, it really does like release something.
Oh yeah, I think
where
so.
It's just like, it's almost the equivalent of like just
endorphins. I think.
Yeah, that's the word. That's the word.
Is it?
Yeah,
it makes you happy.
That's the one. Where it's just like just doodling on a piece of paper.
Yeah,
you know, there is like a creative expression to it.
Oh,
and that's what Journey does to some degree. It's like it's like that. It is like the Tetris or the Snake. It's like very simple interaction.
Yeah,
that is just backed up by the music, the visuals, and yeah, the script as well. I know there's no like talking in there or anything like that, but there's still a script. It still follows.
There's still a
arc.
story there.
Yeah,
definitely. I mean, even if you don't know like what the exact story would be, it's alluding to things, and it's like you can say what it's not, if you know what I mean. Like, there's definitely stuff.
It's not
like,
Call of Duty.
There's stuff you can like there's stuff you can rule out. You know, like if you went, well, I think it's a story about I don't know, a father looking for his dog or something like that. You know, like it's not that. Like, but it's not going to tell you exactly what it is. Oh yeah, see, I haven't seen the ending, so are they looking for a dog? Is there a dog?
But if you like
dogs,
Journey,
it's great.
I do like Journey.
Do you like Journey?
It's just that other stuff came out too. I love Journey. It was really good.
That Game Company, which is the actual name of the company who made it.
Who did it?
That Game Company.
Yeah, what were they called?
That Game Company.
Which one?
That one.
That was actually.
But they have
That Game Company.
They have a game that's very similar to it on iOS. I'm not sure if it's on Android yet. It could be. I'm not sure. It's definitely on iOS. Called Sky or Children of Sky.
Skyrim.
Not Skyrim, but Children of Sky. But it's free. It has the same.
I think I saw the San Francisco. Does it? It has more of a blue vibe to it, is it?
What do you mean a blue vibe?
Like a blue color palette.
Because it's called Sky.
No. Like it's.
Well,
really,
Journey has a very like red orangey kind of tone to it.
Or maybe I think it's something else.
Let me see what the full title is. It's Sky Children of the Light. It's definitely coming to Android. I don't know if it's out yet.
Freaking long game titles.
Yeah.
Sometimes I hate that. But it's a good way of finding.
That game plays very like Journey. It's the same kind of. You don't have as much interactions, but it's fully online, so there's a lot more players on it. And as you go through it, you unlock like emotes, like things from things like Fortnite and Destiny, that kind of thing. So the more you play it, the more emotes you unlock so that you can better communicate with other players. So it's like as if, the
emotes actually have
the more you experience.
They actually have a purpose this time.
What the emotes always have a purpose, which is back really. To what I was saying. It's like, how do you communicate with a lack of interaction?
not really with Fortnite and Destiny when you can just have a microphone, but when games you can't have them.
Sure, okay.
Yeah, what about the kids who don't? You know what I mean? Like,
well, then they
try to
encourage
interaction between people. Like, there's no point in those games, I suppose.
Useless.
Like, there's no point in playing Fortnite unless you're going to interact with people, because that is literally the sole purpose of that game, is to play with other people. Like,
well, if you want to pawn the noobs, bro.
Yeah, bro. Pawn the noobs, bro. Optimus.
Anyway, so that game was free. If you want, it's very similar to Journey.
Cool.
And I suppose what's nice now is
same developers as well, yeah.
Same developer.
That game company.
Because there was another, there was another member of that team that split off and did a game called Abzu.
Oh,
which you
saw
can
that
get
before,
on.
Yeah.
I think it's on pretty much everything. That is not great.
No.
Like, it looks like it's going to be like the same thing, and it's almost the same story arc, nearly, with the hieroglyphs and stuff. Yeah. It's just that now it's based underwater. But yeah, that one's not great.
Maybe
but
that's the one I was thinking about with the blue color palette. Actually,
that's a different company. So Sky is actually made by the same that game company.
It's actually made by that game company. Yeah. What game company? That game company. So where does Journey rank for you guys?
I probably would say best game of 2012, purely because I think out of everything that we're going to talk about, because we're probably going to mention a few more as well, that I think it's more impactful.
Well, actually, I'm just going to cut this podcast right now.
Okay.
I don't want to talk. No, I don't. Okay.
But I would call it the best, just because it is really impactful. It shows what you can do.
Yeah.
With almost like I wouldn't say they were limited, but they're not trying to throw every single tool at this game.
Yeah.
It's a very short experience. It's not that expensive. But yeah, it's really, really effective.
Yeah. No, it is.
But I don't know if you can call the game fun.
I think it's fun. I thought it was fun, especially those sliding sequences.
Yeah, those elements can be enjoyable.
I think it's got fun bits. I suppose, like, it's undeniably brilliant.
Yeah.
But I could see why it's not going to suit every gamer.
Like, what I mean is,
people could turn it on and go, "This is boring." Yeah, they could go, I'm not that interested, and turn it off.
But it's
before
kind of
giving it a chance.
Yes,
really.
Because so fun can mean different things to different people. But what I meant by that is like if you go to see a film like The Joker, for example, right?
Yeah.
That film's not necessarily fun.
No, it's not a fun time,
movie.
but it's an amazing movie.
It's an amazing film.
Yeah.
It gets you thinking.
Yeah.
And I would put Journey in that kind of context.
Yeah. Journey is not like an MCU movie. Yeah.
No, it's a nice, slow, smooth ride, but it's beautiful. So if Journey was your game of 2012, Mass Effect 3 was mine. Eric, have you finally made a decision? Is Mass Effect 3 your game of 2012, or is it XCOM? Give us your pros and cons, baby.
Of XCOM? Just very...
There's no cons.
No cons.
X-Con. Is this the first XCOM game?
No. Yes and no.
Okay, explain.
So Firaxis came along, and I think they bought up the idea of XCOM, and they kind of rebooted it.
Is it called XCOM Enemy Unknown or something like that?
Enemy Unknown, it was the first one. Then they did an expansion called Enemy Within.
Did you ever get to find out who the enemy is?
Yeah.
So it becomes Enemy Known?
No, man, no. It's Enemy Unknown, and then it expands. They find out what it is. It's the Enemy Within, man. Do you not listen to what he said? Like?
Enemy Within is actually the idea of humans side with aliens, and they decide to take down XCOM from within.
All right. XCOM is the organization you're playing as?
Yes, so you play as the commander.
They're the bad guys?
No, the aliens are the bad guys.
Okay.
Well, you keep up, Matt.
I'm alright. I'm just going to stick with Enemy Unknown, and we're not going to talk about Enemy Within because I haven't played enough of it to talk about it.
That's
and
fair.
I don't want to confuse you.
Hey, okay,
it's a different year.
Yeah,
And it's also a different year.
Oh yeah.
Right, okay. So I'll talk very briefly about it.
Yeah.
All right. So you play as the commander.
Yeah.
But in the same way as like Red Alert or something. So you're just the camera. So the characters are actually just talking to you.
Yeah. So you yourself are kind of the protagonist.
You are the protagonist of it. Okay. You lead a roster of soldiers that you yourself can customize.
Okay.
Down to their very appearances and their nationality, their voice. Name them, give them a nickname, and then watch them all get massacred by aliens.
That's class. No, but actually, I could see why anyone who's interested in customizing a character, because normally in any RPG you only get to customize.
I actually think the game looks class.
Yeah, I mean, you normally only get to customize one character, whereas in this case you design your own specific team.
Yep.
I suppose there's an element of like that Mass Effect 2 thing, but except this time you're creating the team rather than just.
But it's not just the story, like the gameplay. You really dig.
The gameplay is really simple to play.
Yeah.
So like with Journey, you can just jump straight into it because the gameplay is so simple. XCOM's the same. You can jump into it and you kind of you pick up the controller and you're like, oh yeah, I know what the rules, I know what the controls are, because each button just kind of essentially.
But it is a turn-based strategy.
It's a turn-based strategy. Top-down game. So you control a team of either 4 or 6 people, and you do a series of missions, and you also develop new equipment or you research new things as well, which takes time. And so you might like scan your Earth to see, just to make time go by, see if there's any missions pop up. And like, it's really addictive. So like you do a mission and you're like, oh, I'm 1 day away from researching plasma weapons. Oh, I'll just scan again. Then another mission comes and I gotta go do that mission. And then you're like, oh, I got that, so I'll develop that mission.
I love that type of gameplay loop because it really does make games that are very similar to other games or that there's not that, like in the actual gameplay itself it mightn't be anything that hooks you in, but that type of progression where you're just like, oh, if I just do that one thing I'll get this. I really, really love when games have that type of balance to it.
Yeah.
Because there is, like, I mean, there's games that we're going to mention in next few episodes that are very similar in that way, where it's like the actual gameplay is nothing that special, but the progression is so well done.
Yes,
really,
and it's done perfectly for, like, I mean, purposely for that reason as well, which is just to kind of hook you in.
So cons, I suppose, would be it depends on what you're into. Because if you're into not getting your ass kicked, then maybe not.
Am I right in saying
you can lose?
That you could lose, but that could be the story.
That could be the story.
The game could end that you've lost.
Yeah, because that's where the second one picks up. We'll talk about that in another episode.
Wow.
Yeah,
okay, so that's canon.
That is now canon because most people who played it lost first time. That's how hard it is.
And then they went with that.
Yep.
It's kind of similar then, I suppose, or it's got a similar vibe. Definitely, like gameplay wise, it's nothing like it, but it's got a similar vibe to Mass Effect.
Yeah, you can see why I'm putting that because they're both sci-fi and both have customization.
Yeah, it's both about
RPGs,
like, human alliance kind of fighting against aliens and.
Yeah.
Would you call it an RPG though?
Well, I suppose it's
probably,
a turn-based RPG.
Yeah,
just customizable. And I mean, if RPG is role playing, like. I mean, you yourself are the main
role
character
of the commander
of the game.
Yeah.
I would call it an RPG. It's a turn-based RPG.
I don't know. Yeah, I would.
Or an RTS.
Turn-based strategy game.
Yeah, it's a turn-based. Yeah,
turn-based strategy game.
Turn-based strategy.
We'll settle with that one.
Because it's very similar to Fallout
All
Tactics.
In favor?
Yeah. It's similar to Fallout Tactics. Fallout Tactics being technically the third or fourth Fallout game. So you had Fallout 1, Fallout 2. Absolutely, they were RPGs. They were turn-based RPGs.
Yeah.
But that's an RPG. But then when you get to Fallout Tactics, it's a little more similar to what you're talking about, which is kind of like a team of people, and you're like that one is more turn-based strategy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, fantastic. You also have magic in it, kind of.
Oh, how does that work in it?
You have it's called psionics. So what you do is when you progress,
kind
of like the biotics from Mass Effect. So if you progress into the game far enough, you take down a particular alien ship where you find essentially one of the main antagonists of the game. Kill that, take a device, study that device, and then you unlock psionics for your soldiers, which allows them to mind control, stun enemies, do all sorts of stuff.
Cool, so there's a lot of like options.
Lots of options, lots of customization.
Literally all the things you said you like as a gamer.
Yeah, that's why I love XCOM. It's just
that's on. You can get that on current consoles, can you?
PS4, Xbox One. I don't know.
Okay.
On PlayStation now, you can play Enemy Within.
All right,
that's right.
And you can get Enemy Within on your phone as well.
Oh,
yeah. I don't know if it's on iOS. It's definitely on Android.
Cool.
Like, I think it's either a $5 or a $10, something like that.
Wow.
It costs money.
That's really good.
Yeah, it's interesting when you go like, oh yeah, it's on the PlayStation for £20. Cool. It's on phone for a $5. Ooh, it's expensive. Like people just really just don't want to pay for shit. Oh, it is. Yeah,
I don't think like that at all.
It's on iOS as well.
Yeah, so it's $5.50.
And with I do know with Enemy
good.
Within, you are also able to genetically and mechanically upgrade your soldiers. So you get a new resource called Meld, and with Meld you can genetically enhance people's like physical traits or psychological traits, or you can turn them into cyborgs with giant mech suits.
Cool.
Yeah, and then there's also a giant roster of alien enemies which will constantly adapt to you and will try to kick your ass, and it's very hard.
So if I had to push you for an answer of which one you prefer, XCOM or Mass Effect 3?
Probably XCOM, because when
Hey! He did it! He did it!
Yeah. It was just a really nice surprise. It was very addictive. It was very annoying as well.
Yeah, I suppose with XCOM as well, like with Mass Effect 3, you kind of knew what you were in for.
Yeah.
You were like, I already like this because I've played it, like I've played the first two, so I kind of know what I'm in for. Whereas XCOM, yeah, like you said, like it was a whole new surprise. Like you hadn't played one before,
and it's also it tells you the stakes right from the beginning.
And did you only tried that out because it was a PS Plus game?
It was a PlayStation Plus.
How are we doing on time?
Are we doing on time?
Yeah, we doing good.
We're doing okay.
Cool. Because I just want to say, because like that, I think that's an interesting with that year in particular.
Yes, yeah.
Was that like it was just like games that came out on
PlayStation Plus.
Well, they didn't necessarily come out that year on PS Plus, but they're games of that year on PS Plus.
Yeah.
But so Spec Ops the Line as well was another one that
was a fantastic one.
Came out that year.
That was really good.
And it was just like right under the radar. No one really talked about it, touched it, or anything like that. But what a phenomenal game!
Yeah. And that's another one of those really plot-driven games where like it's a game that you like because it looked like a generic shooter. Like,
it played like a generic shooter as well,
but truly surprises at you where you're like, holy shit, this is way more in-depth than it looks like. Because even like the cover art to it and stuff, it just looked like another, I know it wasn't first person, but it looked like something along the lines of like Call of Duty or like Battlefield, one of those games.
Or like a really cheap SOCOM.
And you just like this,
and then it turns out
with as well like a more generic like don't get me wrong, Nolan North is an amazing voice actor, but you'd kind of heard that version of his voice on a lot of characters that people were asking for. Like even when he did the Prince of Persia game, he tried a different voice, and they told him not to do it. They said just do your normal voice, and he went, but my character is from Persia, right? And they were like, yeah, but we want everyone to recognize you. Like we're using you as a salesperson.
Yeah.
So when you heard his voice,
dude, you're the best thing about this game.
Yeah. No, the visuals on it were good, but like so for Spec, I thought so.
No, don't worry.
Yeah, it's like whatever about the gameplay. But so for Spec Ops the Line, it was kind of like this is just kind of like it felt same old.
Yeah.
And then it was like, holy shit, like it was doing stuff that you just weren't expecting at all.
Yeah,
so it really caught you off guard.
It hits you with the horror of warfare.
Yeah.
Because there's that one bit when you have like all your enemies in front of you and you're like, oh crap, and you got the mortar with the phosphorus, and you launch the phosphorus up in the air and you burn the crap out of everything. Sorry,
that slight hesitation there was Eric knocking the mic and then going, whoa.
It's okay though. I think the mic is fine.
And you got too much into the horrors of war.
Oh yeah, man.
You got too much into the horrors
of
war.
So you just like you burn all your enemies, and you're like, oh my god, look. It's like, and then you're kind of like, okay, grand, that was a cool moment. And then you're walking through, and it's just horrifying to see them all covered in ash and their skin just melted.
It is horrible, man. I didn't mean to laugh, but I just you come off as like a horrible person in every episode. It's like you can punch a woman and you get to burn your enemies.
Yeah.
We don't paint you well, son.
No, not at all.
Yeah, I think like that, like the writing was just phenomenal for that game, and I think without the writing, that would be just a generic shooter.
Yeah,
because visually not great, gameplay not great.
Yeah, like I said, like again, I'm not bashing Nolan North at all, but like at that point, it sounded like very generic voice acting. Yeah. I thought like it didn't sound like anything new or special. Yeah.
But I remember just jumping in because, like, Eric, you were the first play. You were the one checking it out. Same with XCOM, and
I'm the tester.
You're just kind of like
Eric lets us know what
it's just like you're willing to play anything, really.
Yeah, and the other thing is like
I'm trying to be a little bit more like that, but
I'm definitely the most critical when it comes to games.
Yes, I actually don't know if you would enjoy XCOM. Not gonna lie.
I think I could. But I think timing is always very difficult for me. But like a game has to really hook me before I finish it. Whereas Eric, very funnily, like even if he hates it, will finish it. Even if he absolutely despises the game, he will play it the whole way to the end and then go, "Yeah, it was shit." But in fairness, he gives it a chance.
Yeah, at least that's the only way you can know if the game was.
Basically, of the three of us, Eric's the only one you can trust. It's like, is Journey good? Yeah, it's unreal. Like right at the end, Chris, was Journey good? I didn't finish it. Yeah, it's amazing. It's amazing.
Yeah. So there's also a great quote at the start of XCOM as well. Do
you remember it?
I do. It's by Arthur C. Clarke. He says there's two possibilities in the universe: either we're alone or we're not. Both are equally terrifying.
Whoa.
And take that home with you, folks. We're going to have to end it there.
That's a good
we have to talk about Spec Ops the Line now.
That's a great quote.
I know.
I think Spec Ops the Line, the thing that it did was it was the writing more than anything else, probably.
Fantastic twist.
And really good twists.
Yeah.
If you're into like
and choices at the end as well.
It actually has like
three endings?
I think so, 3 or 4 endings.
Yeah.
We're really into our multiple endings, aren't we?
Well, yeah.
Well, it just so happens to be that way. What's nice about Spec Ops, like when you go into Mass Effect, you know it's coming. You're expecting it. It's an RPG.
Yeah.
You know there's going to be choices to make. Like, cause isn't that phosphorus thing? It's a choice to do. You don't have to do it. Do you?
No, I think you have to do that one.
Well, they play it out as though it's a choice. And there's other bits throughout the game where they kind of make it like there's one guy telling you should do it, and there's another guy telling you no, this is crazy, you shouldn't do it, right?
Yeah, it's like an angel and a devil on your shoulder, nearly.
Yeah, and they kind of, I think they tend to like switch as well. So neither of them is like, oh well, he's just crazy. You know,
he's fucking nuts.
It's just that they're both assessing the situation and trying to think what's the better way to follow. Yeah. But like you, at the end of the day, you have to make the decision because you're the commander.
They're also they're pretty kind of cool characters.
They are, yeah. So it's nice that like although it's story driven, like single player narrative.
Yeah.
It gives you the illusion of choice. But then at the very end, then you do actually have to make a choice.
Yeah.
Yeah. Although it's not like extreme choices, it's like very minor differences between the ending. But
there's nothing extreme in the game at all. I suppose that it's very opposite to Journey. It's not at all like a child-friendly game. It's
not at all.
Really graphic, really mature game.
Multiplayer is fun.
But I do like that it doesn't. There's a lot of shooter games that kind of make it fun and kind of not that they're glorifying violence, but they do kind of make it. This game really like takes its time to point out that like this is horrible.
Yeah,
I mean a lot of kids can like I think although the content you may disagree with, but I think a lot of kids can play Call of Duty and it's fine.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. And I'm not saying that
there's a complete disconnect. It's just run around and it's fun. It's like it's almost like going out into the garden and playing Cowboys and Indians kind of a thing.
With your toy guns. Yeah.
But the thing with Spec Ops, although the gameplay may be similar to that type of
cover shooter style,
kind of thing,
yeah, we've seen it.
The content is it is way too mature. It's not that it's graphic. It's just that it's psychological.
Yeah, it is. Yeah,
it's
very much so.
Even the PTSD, the depression, all that kind of stuff. Kids just wouldn't really get it. So they wouldn't have that appreciation for it.
The premise of it is that you're gone into Dubai, which has been hit with a terrible sandstorm, and all the civilians have kind of banded together and are like ripping each other apart. more or less. And then they're also battling these other American soldiers which have let power get to their head, and they're just like being absolute arseholes.
Yeah, like it's an unusual game circumstance. Like it's not the typical like some dictator has risen up or anything.
Yeah,
like
it's
that.
like no one in the game is good. There's no good guy in the game.
Yeah, it's a great game. I wish it was just called The Line.
Yeah, it's weird that
messy game titles kind of bother me.
And they could like
how I determine whether I like a game is whether the title is good.
But I do think it's a pity that like I think that's one that is never really on anyone's radar. It's not really mentioned. It has the potential to become something else. Maybe not the same characters, but the same type of game.
Yeah. Deserves more attention.
It definitely deserves a lot more attention. Because as you're saying, like there's no bad guys in the game. It's almost like in Vietnam, where it was like when you put people that are mentally fragile in a really horrible situation, they can end up doing horrible things, and it's like, well, whose fault is it really? It's kind of really hard to point a finger.
That is a quote by Adam McGuire that needs to be at the start of another game. Yeah. That was fucking epic. Okay, so
Cause I'm interdict.
Our top games for 2012, then just in summary, were Mass Effect 3, Journey, and XCOM. I don't think those are that surprising for that year, actually. But then a special mention is on the Spec Ops the Line, which deserves a bit more praise. I think it should be played more. Before we finish up, is there any other games from that year that we feel deserve a mention or deserve some sort of recognition?
Are you asking us or the audience?
You guys.
Oh, right.
Well, I have to. If the audience are, we should actually.
Let's turn to our audience.
This is never live.
Bird sounds just like.
Looks like a Jerry Springer setup here. These are never live, and actually, I suppose it's worth people worth their while knowing that the episodes get recorded in kind of bulk and then distributed out over weeks. So sometimes I suppose we could be recording something and talking about something that's maybe current. Like we might say what's online at the moment, and then by the time it goes up, it's not. So we should probably stop doing that. But just so people know. So I'm not asking the audience. I'm asking you guys. Is there any other games that from 2012 that we haven't mentioned that maybe we should before we close?
Well,
up
haven't mentioned
year?
XCOM.
And there's an awesome quote at the start. Is there anything?
Not for me.
I think you have one, don't you?
We haven't got enough time if I mention this one. I'll put it out there quickly. I enjoyed The Walking Dead Season 1 by Telltale. It doesn't start great, but after a little while I really like Lee as a protagonist.
Yeah,
and
very good protagonist.
His relationship with Clementine. Clementine's voice acting is really fucking annoying because you can tell it's a fully grown woman trying to do a girl's voice and it's not convincing.
Silly.
But I liked Lee as a character and I liked his relationship with her, and I liked the art style. It's by no means like one of the best choice-based games out there, I think, but it is one of Telltale's better games. I will say that, and it got me interested in a couple of those games. And it was liked by a lot of people.
I know.
I enjoyed it.
It's well loved. It is well loved.
But it did.
The thing I really disliked about it, man, like it doesn't matter how good of a hardware you have, that game is broken.
Oh, what the fuck, yeah.
Like they've
so clunky.
Why does it? It's literally just a couple of animated scenes. Why does it keep freezing and like chopping and stuff? Like, is it like? And I do think that's why that company really went out of business, is that they just weren't willing to fix their bloody game.
Yeah. And I don't want to be rude to like other people's work, but there's a stark difference. Like The Walking Dead's, whoever the fuck scores Telltale's games, if you're listening, fucking do a music course or something. Fucking hell. That's harsh. The music is always It's just like all these little like clicks and shit. And even if you play like the Batman one, it's the same thing. It's really fucking bad.
Compared to like Heavy Rain's kind of soundtrack.
So look, I'm only joking. I'm being a bit rude, but yeah, it's one of the things that jars at me on the Telltale games is I always think the music is really off-putting and doesn't at all fit the scene that's happening.
Yeah,
it's like they're definitely happening in different studios. Versus Mass Effect 3 has one of my favourite music scores that I did mention earlier. And it's actually one of the only music scores I've bought and like from a video game and have actually listened to as music on its own. Like the score throughout is
the music to those games get better and better, because if you listen to in Mass Effect 1, it's very much this kind of the same thing over and over again.
Whereas Mass Effect 3 is the best score of the trilogy, I think.
Yeah.
I said I'd give The Walking Dead a mention. I enjoyed it. I liked it a lot. And one of the things that it does, like the relationship between Clementine and Lee, I liked a lot. And I'm not saying it paved the way for anything at all, because something was already happening. But let's just say more games like that in the future, where a relationship between an older person and a younger person have become very, very popular.
Sure, okay.
But I do think that the next one that we will talk about
might be slightly like that.
Paved it more. And had a huge impact on the gaming industry. But yeah, okay, so that concludes our favourite games
of 2012.
Yeah. Mass Effect 3, Journey, and XCOM, Enemy Within, Enemy Unknown.
I haven't played much of Enemy Within, but at some point I will.
So if you've played those games,
well done.
Yeah, and let us know what you thought of them. And if there was, if you disagree with it, maybe you think the Telltale games have awesome scores. But if there's any games we haven't mentioned, I feel like we covered a lot of the big ones from that year. But maybe there's something that is very obvious.
Missed something. Probably.
But
it's just not like, I mean, it may not be in our radar. Like, it's not something that we're interested in. But
like look, compared to 2011. It was a weaker year for games for me personally, but the ones that I liked a lot.
Yeah,
so that's the way I look at it. So join us on our next episode, where we'll be talking about games from 2013.
Oh god,
which much like 2011, I would think was a very big year for games.
There was some good shit.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
You just looked at the listener.
Yeah, I looked at the listener. I was like, yeah.
So that concludes this episode. We'll talk to you on the next episode and catch you up then. Bye.
Bye.
See ya.